Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation, and this is the narration of that translation. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My brother, I am a woman who is aged 34 years old, and I have suffered so much, my brother. My life is not okay. I am a woman who is staying here in my country, in Harare, in an area that is called Greystone. Before I had came to stay here in Greystone, I used to stay in this other area in Glenora Sea. There is this area that is called Pamasimbi. That was where I was staying. When I was staying there in Glenora, I used to have my own small salon, and whenever my clients will call me, I will go, then I will do the hair at their places. And I was fortunate enough that there was this other client of mine that was quite rich. So this client of mine said that she does not want to travel to my salon each and every time. She wanted me to come to her house. Whenever she wanted me to come and do her hair, I would go to Greystone. That was where she was staying at that time. Brother Nashi, life was really good because this woman, she was able to pay me. Sometimes she would pay me double the amount that she was supposed to pay me. There was this other day, like always, she called me and I went to Greystone at her house, and unfortunately the styling that she wanted me to do on her hair, it was quite difficult. So I did this style throughout the day, and when I knocked off, it was somewhere around 7 p.m. And you know that in that area, for you to find transport from Greystone coming back to Glenora, it is quite difficult. So when I was about to leave, she said, "What are you going to do?" I then said that I am going to wait for a taxi, and I am praying that I'll be able to catch a taxi in time, because I am scared that maybe they are going to rob me of my phone, because I was using a good phone at that time. It was an expensive one. Then that woman said, "Okay, what I am going to do is that wait for my husband." The husband was not yet home at that time. He was still at his office since he has several businesses. The man, when he arrived, Brother Nashi, he arrived at somewhere around 10:30. That was when he arrived. So when he took me back to Glenora, we arrived very late because he was like driving slow. He kept on speaking with me, and he told me a lot of stuff about the money that he had, the business plans that he had. And as women, there is something when a man tells you about his money, and when he showed me that he actually had a lot of cash in the car, I just got addicted and attracted to him. By the time that we arrived back home, me and this man, we had kissed each other several times. From there on, that was when I started dating my client's husband behind her back. She didn't know. Each and every time when I would go to her house, I would make sure that I do the styling on her hair very slow so that I can finish off very late. Then her husband will take me back to Glenora so that I can spend some time with him. The guy, he used to come and sleep at my place, but he never felt safe because his car was very expensive that he was driving at that time. We would go sometimes and we would sleep at different guest houses. I had fallen in love with this man, and he was my ticket to wealth. And this woman who was my client, I was now viewing her as a stumbling block. She was the one who was blocking me. I wanted to be rich. Each and every time when I would look at her, when she will be with me, when I will be doing her hair, I would be saying that this woman, she has already made it in life. She needs to give me a man. As for my client, this woman, the one that I was sleeping with, her husband, she had her kids that were in the United Kingdom. So each and every time when her kids will be in the United Kingdom, I would force that man to take me so that I can sleep in this woman's bed. That is how much I had hated her. I wanted to be with her husband at all the times whenever she would be out of the country. My brother, there was one particular trip when she had traveled to the UK to be with her kids. I then went to Chipinge. I said, I do not want to waste my money with these traditional healers that are just taking chances. I then went online. So there was this other man that I heard that is quite a good traditional healer. I then spoke with him and I went to Chipinge. When I went to Chipinge, he then said that these are just small things and he can do everything for me. The only things that he was going to require was for me to do this act. All that he wanted me to do was that I had to steal one of my client's underwear. This was quite easy because whenever she was not around for several months, I'll be staying at her house. So the ritual that I had to perform was that I had to take her underwear and I had to use this underwear when I'll be on my periods. The first day when I would see that I am on my periods, I had to take her underwear, then take the sanitary pad and just use it until I would have finished my periods. And then after finishing my periods, I had to wash that underwear of hers clean and pack it back. And that was what I did, Brother Nashi. When I was on my period at that time, she had traveled to the UK to be with her kids. I took her underwear and I started wearing it, but it was not easy. Mind you, this woman, she was like extra large and I am just a slender, so you can just imagine how big her underwear was. Each and every time when I'll be wearing her underwear, I used to tie a knot on her underwear so that I can fit, but still it was just too big. After seeing my periods, then I would wash it clean, iron it and pack it with the rest of her underwears. Then my brother, when that woman came back, the moment that she slept with her husband, that was when her husband started complaining. She said, I do not know what is wrong with my wife. I said, what is going on, my love? He then said that my wife, she went on her period just like she has done throughout her life. But now the problem is that her periods cannot stop. I am worried. I do not know what to do. I kept on feeding him with poisonous words, giving him bad advice until, unfortunately, my client passed away. When this lady passed away, Brother Nashi, that was when I returned back to that traditional healer. Then at that time, I was staying in an area that is called Cranbourne. This man, after the death of his wife, he said that people are not supposed to see you and me together. You are not supposed to be seen here. So what I am going to do is that since you are complaining, let me find a full house for you where I'll be renting that house for you. So I was now staying in Cranbourne. Each and every time he would come and sleep over at my house. I was used to this thing. He said that after a little while, when everyone would have forgotten about my wife, then you can start coming into my life. Then I'll be able to introduce you to my relatives. Then there was this other day. It was like any normal day. Throughout the day, I had spoken with him, and then he came at my place there in Cranbourne. When he came, Brother Nashi, we made love. Then later on in the evening, I felt something really cold in the blankets. So I thought that maybe it is a snake. What is going on? Because this thing was pressing itself hard against me and it was cold, really cold. When I woke up, Brother Nashi, I screamed. Sleeping right next to me was a skeleton. It was a skeleton that was just there with me in bed. My boyfriend, he had just vanished. That man that I had killed his wife, he was no longer there with me in bed. I screamed out so loud, and what made me to be more scared was the way that this skeleton got up from bed. As this skeleton was getting up from bed, as this skeleton was rising from the bed, I then saw that on this skeleton there was actually human tissue that was forming all over its bones. And after the tissue was fully formed on that skeleton, then I saw the skin until I could see that the face, it was really familiar. It was that same woman that I had stolen her underwear and used them when I was on my periods. The one that I had killed, she just appeared, Brother Nashi, and I got so scared. That was when I knew that this person that I had been with in bed was not my boyfriend, but it was actually the ghost of that woman that I had killed. When I saw everything that had happened, I then called that traditional healer who gave me his charms, and he then said that this thing that you are mentioning, I do not even understand what you are trying to tell me, because as far as I know, my oracle is a clean oracle, because I do not do anything that will harm any other living creature. So I don't know where you got those extra charms, because ever since I started being a traditional healer, I have never killed anyone using my charms. That was when he said that, but I feel sorry for you. I have this connection with this other traditional healer from Mozambique. You will be able to assist you, my child. That traditional healer then said that I want you to get some money, and after you have gotten some money, you were going to be traveling to Mozambique. When I went to Mozambique, Brother Nashi, I was then given this bottle, Brother Nashi, that I was given. I was told that I had to place the spirit of my son. He said that a soul for a soul. So we had to take the soul of my son. We had to kill my son and place his spirit inside that bottle, so that the ghost, the spirit of that woman that I killed, will stop following me. This bottle, it was full of some oil, like your Lucky Charm oils. He then told me what I was supposed to do. He said, when you return back to your country, I want you to call your son, because my son, he was staying with my mom back in the villages. He then said that when you have called your son, I want you to stay with your son. Then said that each and every night you have to perform these rituals for 1 month. Then after 30 days are over, when you have completed these rituals, I want you to take your son, go with him to a place that is very nice, buy some clothes for him, spoil him, but on that same day, he is not supposed to sleep at your house. He is supposed to return back to the village, because we would have taken his spirit. Once the oil is finished from this bottle that I have given you, then the space that will be left in this bottle, it will be the space that is going to be filled up by your own son. When I returned back to Zim from Mozambique, I then spoke with my mother and my little sister. I then said, please, can you come with my son, because I miss him so much. My little sister then came with my son. When they came, Brother Nashi, the very first night when I went to pick them up, whilst we were fast asleep, my son, he was the one who was sleeping on the floor, and I was sleeping on the bed with my little sister. I then got up from the bed and I went at the place where my son was sleeping, and I made sure that my son was lying on the floor between my legs. Then I started to pour a little bit of that oil from that bottle. I did this for 1 month, and after all the oil that was inside that bottle was finished, I then said to my little sister, I want you guys to bath, because I want you to take you out, because I want to take you out for shopping. We are going on a shopping spree today. We then went to town, my brother, and I told them to buy whatever they wanted to buy. My son, Brother Nashi, he really enjoyed. Whilst we were in town, I then acted as if I had received a phone call. It was just a fake phone call. I then told him that there was this other place where I was supposed to buy some stuff which I wanted to use for my business. I said, quickly, I am going to take you to the bus station. I took my little sister and my son to that bus station, but I felt so sad because I knew that my son was going to die. When my son arrived at the village, that was when he started to suffer from epileptic seizures. He then fell to the ground, and my son, he passed away. People from the village, they called me. When they called me, they told me that my son had passed away. As for my son's funeral, I had already been given some directions on what rituals I was supposed to do when I'll be told that my son would have died. That traditional healer from Mozambique had told me that the moment that I am going to be told that my son has died, I am supposed to get on the bus. When I have arrived at the village, when I have gotten from the bus, then I had to take some oil. Some of this oil, I had to spread it on my legs. Then some of the oil, I had to spread it on my hands, and I was told that, yes, I had to be sad, but I was not supposed to shed a tear for my son because this was my sacrifice. After this, Brother Nashi, I then returned back to Harare. When I returned back to Harare, I do not know what actually happened, because the next time when I looked at that bottle, I wanted to see if my son's spirit was going to appear inside that bottle. But my brother, I then saw that my son was not there, but it was my mother who was locked inside that bottle, as well as my little sister. I then spoke with that traditional healer, the one in Chipinge. I said, this is what has happened. What am I supposed to do? Does this mean that I am going to lose my mom and my sister as well? That traditional healer said that for you to be able to clear their spirits from this bottle, you need about 3,000 US dollars. This is what this traditional healer from Mozambique requested. And it is not only the 3,000 US dollars. This traditional healer, the one who assisted me here in Zim, he has a team. He said that whenever I am going around, I do not go around alone. I go around with my team. His assistants, they are quite a lot. So he wants me to hire the vehicles so that his team can travel with us to Mozambique. And that 3,000 US dollars that is needed, please help me. There is no way I can get that money. As for my husband, I know that he has a lot of money, but there is no way that he is going to give me all of this money. I am still staying with my current boyfriend, the one that I killed his wife, and he does not even know that I used charms and rituals to end the life of his own wife. Oh, dear listeners, right there was a message that I received. Then I had to give you this translation.